in US dollars and a permit.
I'd like to suspend this interview.
Hey there, welcome back to the channel. So this is my third vampire deck in the series of vampire decks that I've created. This is Olivia, the Crimson Bride. So when the new set came out and they were focusing on vampires, I don't know if you noticed, I have a bit of an affinity and a like for vampires. So I picked it up, a whole bunch of the cards up, and I bought a bunch of packs, and you know, I spent probably way too much money on Magic this last year. And so Olivia is a legendary vampire noble. She costs 4 plus a black and a red. She's a 3/4 flying with haste. Whenever it attacks, return a creature card from your graveyard to the battlefield tapped and attacking. It gains when you don't control a legendary vampire, exile this creature. So Olivia could be kind of neat. And I haven't played the deck yet, so we'll see how it goes. I just built it recently because I just got some of the cards into my possession, and I'm very happy with this one. I got Dracula, Lord of Blood, which is actually just the Voldaren Bloodseeker, Bloodcaster. It's a vampire wizard. It's a 2/1 with flying. Whenever the Voldaren Bloodcaster or another non-token creature you control dies, you create a blood token. Whenever you create a blood token, if you control 5 or more blood tokens, you transform the Bloodcaster. And so the Bloodcaster will turn into Dracula, Lord of Bats. So he's a vampire wizard, and at the beginning of combat on your turn, up to 1 blood token you control becomes a 2/2 black bat creature with flying and haste in addition to its other types. It's also known as a Bloodbath Summoner. Not a super powerful thing, but flavorful. Enemy is Dracula. I couldn't not own Dracula. In the deck we have the Vampire Interloper, a flying, can't block 2/1 vampire. We're running the Thief of Heartbeats, another vampire. This one's a vampire rogue, costs 1 less for each creature in your party. It's got flying, death touch, haste. More importantly, it gives your other creatures death touch, and whenever a creature you control deals combat damage to a planeswalker, you destroy that planeswalker. So being able to wipe out people's planeswalkers, if you play a lot of Commander, you know planeswalkers are a bit of a problem. Falkenrath Celebrants, vampire with menace. When it enters the battlefield, you create 2 blood tokens. The Alluring Suitor, again, another vampire 2/3. When you attack with exactly 2 creatures, you transform him. And this guy transforms into the Deadly Dancer. So it's a vampire with trample. When this creature transforms into the Deadly Dancer, add 2 red until the end of your turn. You don't lose this mana as steps and phases end. You can pay 2 red mana, Deadly Dancer, and another target creature get +1/+1 to the end, +1/+0 to the end of the turn, and he's just a 3/3. So they really didn't go crazy on the transform effects as far as making the monsters crazy, unstoppable, or anything like that. They're still basically pretty fair. Then we got the Vampire Socialite. It's a 1 red, 1 black menace. When Vampire Socialite enters the battlefield, if an opponent lost life this turn, you put a 1/1 counter on each other vampire you control. As long as an opponent loses life this turn, each vampire you control enters the battlefield with an additional 1/1 counter on it. So that could be pretty powerful. The Blood Cultist. You can tap to deal 1 damage to target creature. Whenever a creature is dealt damage by the Blood Cultist, this turn is put into a graveyard, put a 1/1 counter on the Blood Cultist, so you can pump it up. Vampire Opportunist, very expensive effect. 7, each opponent loses 2 life, you gain 2 life. Voldaren Epicure, when it enters the battlefield, it deals 1 damage to each opponent. You create a blood token. The Belligerent Guest, vampire with trample, 3/2. Whenever it deals combat damage to a player, you create a blood token. Repentant Vampire, this is an old one. Whenever a creature dealt damage by the Repentant Vampire, this turn is put to your graveyard, put a 1/1 counter on. That was a big theme with the vampires. But it also has a threshold ability, so it becomes white and has tap to destroy target black creature. So a little bit of weird removal in the deck. Blood Hypnotist, it cannot block. It's a 3/3 vampire. Whenever you sacrifice 1 or more blood tokens, target creature cannot block this turn. It triggers only once each turn. Stormkirk Patrol, which is a vampire soldier. Whenever it deals combat damage to a player, you put a 1/1 counter on it. Starts off as a 4/3. We've got Grey Merchant in here. Doesn't fit the theme. I'm not sure why I've got him in here other than the life gain, and it does damage to people based on your devotion. Bloodsworn Squire, Vampire Soldier, discard a card, gains indestructible until the end of turn. Then if you are 4 or more creatures in your graveyard, you transform it. So when you transform the Squire, you get the Bloodsworn Knight. Its power and toughness are equal to the number of creature cards in your graveyard. Pay 1 and a black to discard a card, and it gains indestructible until the end of turn, and you tap it. So another interesting transform creature. We have the Blood Tithe Harvester. It's a vampire. When it enters the battlefield, you create a blood token. Sacrifice a Blood Tithe Harvester. Target creature gets -X until the end of turn. When X is twice the number of blood tokens you control. Activate this ability as a sorcery. Blood Petal Celebrant. So it has first strike as long as it's attacking. When it dies, you create a blood token. The Falkenroth Marauders. They have flying and haste. Whenever they deal combat damage to a player, you put 2/1/1 counters on it. It starts off as a 2/2. Restless Bloodseeker, another vampire that can transform. At the beginning of your end step, if you gain life this turn, create a blood token. You can sacrifice 2 blood tokens to transform the Bloodseeker. Activate as a sorcery ability. So he activates as the Blood-Soaked Reveler. At the beginning of your end step, if you gain life this turn, create a blood token. Each opponent loses 2 life. You gain 2 life for 5 mana. So a way to dump some mana into something. Blood Hypnotist. The vampire cannot block. Whenever you sacrifice 1 or more blood tokens, target creature can not block this turn. This ability triggers once each turn. I think I have 2 of that guy in here, actually. It's hard because they have different arts on them. I do, so we're going to pull that one. So I haven't played the deck yet, so I haven't been able to go through and see if I have duplicates. So one problem with the set having multiple arts and multiple frame styles on a card is that you can very easily put an additional copy of it into the deck without realizing it. Skymar's Bloodletter, Vampire Soldier. When it enters the battlefield, target opponent loses 1 life. You gain 1 life. You have the Vermin Gorger, sacrifice a creature. Each opponent loses 2 life. You gain 2 life. Blood Vial Purveyor, Flying Trample. Whenever an opponent casts a spell that targets it, create a blood token. Viscera Seer, sacrifice a creature to scry. Gluttonous Guest. When it enters the battlefield, you create a blood token. Whenever you sacrifice a blood token, you gain 1 life. Falkenroth Forebearer, a vampire with flying. Cannot block. Whenever it deals combat damage to a player, you create blood tokens. Sacrifice 2 blood tokens. Return it from the graveyard to the battlefield. You have the Falkenroth Aristocrat. Flying Haste, sacrifice creature. It gets 1/1. Gains indestructible for 1. Blood Crazed Socialite, another vampire. When it enters the battlefield, create a blood token. Whenever it attacks, you can sacrifice a blood token. It gets +2/+2, and it is a 3/3. We have the Blood Fountain, which is an artifact. When it enters the battlefield, create a blood token. So this is very clearly a blood token deck. We're using the Blood Servitor. Another construct. Whenever it enters the battlefield, you create a blood token. The Honeymoon Hearse, which is a vehicle. Tap 2 untapped creatures you control, and it becomes an artifact creature until the end of turn. Sanguine Statuette. When it enters the battlefield, create a blood token. Ceremonial Knife. Gets +1/+0. Has whenever this creature deals combat damage, create a blood token. Pointed Discussion. You draw 2 cards, you lose 2 life, create a blood token. You can control a target creature until the end of turn, untap it, it gains haste, create a blood token. Destroy target artifact and all other artifacts that share a name with that artifact. This is in here to get rid of things like treasures. Aether Snap. Remove all counters from all permanents and remove all tokens from the game again. To deal with tokens and lots of things like treasures, things like that. Traitor's Roar. Tap an untapped creature. It controls. Tap target untapped creature. It deals damage equal to its power to its controller. It has Conspire. Cauldron Dance, another old card. Play Cauldron Dance only during combat. Return a creature card from your graveyard to play. That creature gains haste. Return it to your hand at the end of turn. Put a card from your hand into play. That creature gains haste. Put it into your graveyard at the end of the turn. Fists of the Demigod, enchantment, black-red. Play an old Soulburn from Ice Age. Does 1 damage to a single target creature or player. For each red or black you pay, and you gain 1 life for each mana spent this way. Lacerate Flesh, 4 damage to a target creature. Create a blood token equal to the amount of excess damage dealt this way. Undying Malice, until the end of turn, creature gains when this creature dies. Returns to the battlefield tapped under its owner's control with a 1/1 counter on it. Into the night, it becomes night. Discard any number of cards and then draw that many cards plus 1. It's really just there for the self wheel. Breath of Maleficor, I'm not sure how to say that. Each opponent takes 5 damage. Rage Reflection, give all my creatures double strike. Reckless Impulse, exile two cards of my library until the end of turn. I can cast them. Last one standing, choose a creature at random, destroy the rest. Discerning Taste, look at the top 4 cards of your library, put 1 of them into your hand, the rest in your graveyard. Gain life equal to the greatest power among those creature cards. Fatal Blow, destroy target creature that was dealt damage this turn. It cannot be regenerated. Tragic Slip. Torrent of Souls. Final Death, exile something. Wrecking Ball. Vampire's Kiss. Target player loses 2 life. You gain 2 life. Create a blood token. 2 blood tokens. Also running Decree of Pain. Destroy all creatures that cannot be regenerated. It has cycling. When you cycle it, all creatures get -2/-2 to the end of turn. So you can either wipe the board, you can give all your opponent's creatures -2/-2. Lightning does 3 damage to target player. That player discards 2 cards. Also playing Fire Covenant. It does X damage divided in any way you choose among the number of target creatures, where X is equal to the amount of life you pay. If X of Revenge or Reeve Dark damage cannot be used to counter this effect. This is another old card. Diabolic Tutor. Fling. Make something big and throw it in somebody's face. Bob Nicholas's Cruelty. Edgar's Awakening. Terminate. Bleed Dry because it does -13/-13. It's kind of like Blasphemous Act, but in black. In fact, I should put Blasphemous Act in here. And the rest of it is just lands. Dual lands, mountains, swamps, that sort of stuff. So that is the Olivia the Crimson Bride deck that I have put together. Hope you liked it. Let me know in the comments down below. And if you did like the video, please like, subscribe, and share. Hit that bell notification button so you don't miss out on future videos. And share the video with your friends, folks. It helps me a lot. And if you like this video, watch another one in the channel because it, again, it pushes the algorithm and gets more subscribers onto the channel. Until next time.